like to request our Executive Director, Brother Samir Abu Isa, to formally welcome all of you at Dar Al-Hijrah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be for you and on you. We appreciate your coming here tonight. It is our pleasure. This Islamic Center is your home. Anytime you're going to come, this door is open. We appreciate that you accept our invitation. And this is every Ramadan, we have it in the second or third Wednesday of in the month. Again, thank you very much for your coming.
Thank you. Jazakallah khair. You know, one of the things which is probably in all religious institutions and places of worship, that normally people who are in the executive positions, they don't stay long because it's very difficult and, you know, challenging work to deal with the community. But you know, Brother Samir has been here since 1992. So, you know, a lot of credit goes to. Now I will request the chairman of Dar Al-Hijrah board, Dr. Mohammed Helmy, to say a few words. And we are very happy that among us there are other board members present as well. Dr. Akram Al-Zind is here, and Vice Chairman Brother Hussein Gol was here. So, okay. So, Dr. Mohammed Helmy.
Peace be unto you, and thank you for coming. I didn't plan actually to speak, and I wanted just to say one word that it was on my mind when I saw you coming in. Friends, you know friends when you go through a difficult time, and they stand by your side, and they stand by you. And we have been going through difficult times one after the other, and when the time comes, you show up and you stand by us. And we have personal encounters with many of you individually. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, especially if last year some challenges come from outside, some challenges come from inside. And on both kind of incident and events, you were next to us, you supported us. When we were attacked from outside, you came here and you stood by us. And everyone knows about it. And when we have difficulty from inside, you came and you stood by us and you supported us. Thank you, always. And as Samir said, this is your place. We are always welcome. We're eager to work together to make this piece of United States the best place to come and to live in. And we would we are looking to work together to make United States the best place for humanity to come and work together and live together. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.
Dr. Mohammed Helmy is a pediatrician and a professor at George Washington. So he's been serving the community for many, many years. And we really are thankful for your service to the community.
Peace be upon you. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. It's always a pleasure to actually welcome guests of other faiths to our institution. I'm a student of faith, so I like to actually engage, and I got a great lesson from our Anglican brethren this evening. Last time I picked Rabbi Serotta's mind on some of the Orthodox and conservative and other trends, I think you said, on faith. So it's great to actually come together with people of other faith and try to understand each other so that we can understand each and every way that we are trying to reach God. I wanted to address something that Imam Naeem had mentioned a little early on when he said that Sheikh Abdul Fattah had 4 licenses, because Robert Buckman from UUCA was asking me about this a little bit early on. What does that mean? So we value the preservation of the original text of the Quran to a degree that someone who is given a license actually has a direct chain of narration leading all the way back to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. What that means is the person who taught Sheikh Abdul Fattah authorized him, and his teacher authorized him, and there's actually a full line all the way back to the Prophet, making sure that we preserve the original text of the revelation. And there are millions of Muslims around the world who actually memorize, and he's one of them, memorizes the Quran from cover to cover and are authorized or licensed by several different chains of memorization. And that's what that means by having the 4 licenses of recitation of the Quran. So, I mean, we value, as anyone else does, the preservation of revelation. And I was talking about that with our Anglican brethren a little bit earlier on today. But thank you for coming. Please feel free to come to our house, to the house of God, at any time. And we look forward to your invitation to come visit. I've been to UUCA. I've been to Temple Rodef Shalom. I don't think we have anyone here from the temple today. But we really do look forward to actually invitations to come and interact with our brothers and sisters of other faiths as we welcome you coming at any time through these doors to the house of God, which is open to our community. Our goal this year is to essentially make sure that we are part of our larger community, and what happens in here is the same that happens outside, and that the message that you receive during these events is the same message that's given throughout the community, internally and externally. And that's our goal. And what we ask of you, is if you have advice for us, if you disagree with something, please, we're open. Let's talk. And as long as communication is there, agreement and understanding can be reached. It's when we cut off communication is when we start to have ignorance and misunderstanding, and we hope that those lines of communication remain open. Again, thank you very much. We enjoy having you. Please follow our Facebook page because that's where you'll actually hear about everything that we do, especially because where you're sitting right now at 9:30 will actually be full of prayer rugs and people praying. So, and this is a daily occurrence. We actually roll out the tables and chairs for the iftar, and then we take everything back for the prayer thereafter. And if you'd like to see that in action, you can check our Facebook page because we have the time lapse of it. But thank you very much. I hope you enjoy your evening, and thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you.
I would like to, before I invite our speaker, Sister Fazia. Where's Sister Fazia? Oh, so I would like to recognize our Deputy Director for Outreach and Interfaith Work. Many of you know Sister Fazia because of her work. So, when it was right after 9/11, I used to live in New York at that time, and I was working as Secretary General for Islamic Circle of North America. And a few days after that saddest incident, I received a call from National Council of Churches office. And a friend by the name of Tony Coriopoulos, it was his first call, and he approached, and he was approaching Muslim community. It was not only to Islamic Circle, but he was also reaching out to other Muslim organizations and communities. And not only that he was welcoming a friendship, but at the same time, he created a space for Muslim organizations and Muslim communities so we can come close to one another, build this partnership, and National Council of Churches organized a program at Ground Zero, and we were invited. Just think about the tense situation at that time that Muslims were not being welcomed. But credit goes to National Council of Churches for creating that space and welcoming Muslim organization and Muslim leadership to a program, to a service program which was held in New York City. And then our friendship and Muslim community with National Council of Churches, we thank God Almighty for this over 18 years of this friendship. And at that time, Bob Edgar was Secretary General. And today, among us, we are very fortunate to have President and General Secretary, Chairman and General Secretary of National Council of Churches, Reverend Dr. Jim Winkler with us.
Assalamu alaikum. I thank my brother, Imam Naeem, Baig, for inviting me to come here, and it's good to be with Sheikh from Egypt. I was with the Grand Imam last year, and Al-Hijrah, and it's an honor to be with you and see all of you here tonight. We have, well, let me just say first that as you all know, Imam Naeem Baig is a national leader on your behalf. He has been the chair of Religions for Peace USA. He has led the Islamic Circle for North America. He has been active in Shoulder to Shoulder, the campaign that Christians, Jews, and Muslims together have created to stand shoulder to shoulder with Muslims as they face persecution and violence in this country. And he is well known and beloved in the justice community and in the interfaith community. And I thank him for all that he means to you at Dar Al-Hijrah and to really to the whole nation. So thank you so much for everything. I want you to know I live here in Alexandria, just down the street, and I am a member at Fairlington United Methodist Church, right down King Street, and our church also stands in solidarity with you. We love you, and we love this evening. We love everything about being together in the faith. I want to say a few things, too, about the current situation that we're facing in this nation. It is a dangerous situation that is unfolding in the United States. We are facing growing intolerance and violence and acts of hatred and white supremacy and white nationalism are unfolding before our very eyes. I am very worried about the months ahead and even the next several years. It seems as if we have gone through a lot already in recent years, but there was, I think, a moment where we thought things had turned the corner and we were moving into an era of greater tolerance and cooperation and respect for one another. Dr. King famously said that the moral arc of the universe bends toward justice. And it occurs to me, as I think of that metaphor, that as that bow bends, it requires all of us to be pulling on it. And maybe somehow our hands sometimes slip off the bow, because you see hunters with these powerful bows, and they have to use great strength to pull it back. And if we're going to bend the moral arc of the universe toward justice, it is not going to happen by magic. Yes, Allah will be there with us, but it will require us too grabbing hold and pulling on it. And there are those, as we are pulling on it, and we almost have to leap to grab the bow. And I feel like that that there are those who are trying to yank on our feet and pull us down so that we can't bend the bow toward justice. We have to somehow push those people gently aside so that those who are up there hanging on the bow are standing on our shoulders. Because this is a long struggle that is in front of us. You know, we are needed today as an interfaith community to stay strong and united and to hold on to our passion for peace and justice. We are at our best when we ensure that the marginalized are heard. We must minister to the addicted, to the lost, to the loved, to the hopeful, to the angry, to everyone. We must extend the hand of love. We must give voice to the voiceless. We must be fearless for the fearful, and many are fearful these days. We must be tireless for the tired, and we have to lift up the downtrodden, and we have to do this together. When I came to Washington and began working on Capitol Hill in the interfaith community more than 30 years ago, it was primarily Jews and Christians. And now it's Jews and Christians and Muslims and Baha'i and Hindus and Sikhs and Buddhists. The beautiful tapestry of faith is it growing and expanding in our country, and that makes many people frightened. They want to return to a time that is gone and will never, ever come back. And they're fighting a rear guard action. And somehow they think that they can bring back a mythical day when white people controlled this country, where people of color were subservient, and where, quote, people knew their places, unquote. We've moved past that time. They'll continue to struggle for it, but those days are gone, and they're fighting tooth and nail. You know, on February 10, 2017, a little more than a year ago, Christian leaders gathered in Chicago to say we're going to stand against this effort to restrict immigration into this country, which we knew was those restrictions were aimed primarily at Muslims. We knew that they were going to try to stop the flow of refugees into this country. They were going to try to warp the meaning of the United States, at its best a land for all peoples. And so we've been standing together, and the churches that make up the National Council of Churches, working with Muslims and Jews and people of faith and goodwill, together we will win this fight. But it's a fight, and we have to be clear about that. We can be gentle and we can be loving, but we need to be there at the polls in November and cast our vote, and we need to be in the streets. Yesterday I was arrested at the Russell Senate Office building as part of the Poor People Campaign protest. People gathered all over this country for now 3 weeks, and we're going to be gathering for a number of weeks until June 23rd. We'll gather every Monday. Yesterday we gathered on Tuesday because Memorial Day was on Monday. We're gathering every Monday down at the Capitol for training on nonviolent civil disobedience methods. Then we go over and we have a rally, and then we have a protest. And yes, it is symbolic, but what we're doing is we're putting our bodies out there, and we're saying the machinery of death, the machinery of hatred, the machinery that carries out wars, endless wars. My whole life, the United States has been at war in one way or another. We have spent more than $30 trillion in 2018 dollars since the end of World War II on weapons and on war. We are trying in this country to cut the money that we spend on education and health care and on the environment, which is a fraction already of what we spend on weapons and spies and on wars. And we must change the direction of this country. This is what God is all about. This is what Allah is teaching us, that we must be together in love. So, I have taken enough time, but let me say that I am heartened that we have been in the streets. Imam Naeem was with us last month when we had a rally to end racism on the National Mall. 2 months ago, our young people gathered in hundreds of thousands in Washington for the March for Our Lives to call for an end to gun violence. A few months ago, the second Women's March took place here and, of course, all over the world. There are people who are saying we're not going backwards. We're not going to become a nation of intolerance and hatred. We're going to be a land of love and beauty where everyone is accepted, where all faiths are respected, and we're going to do this because we're going to bend the moral arc of the universe to justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. That was beautiful, and for all of us, these are very warm and comments that should encourage all of us to work together for justice and equality in our society and in our country. So now I will request Sister Fazla Deen to request our guests to share a few comments appreciating our friendship. Sister Fazla.
So a lot of you know me. Hi, thank you for coming tonight. We have a lot of voice members in here tonight, and we have new members and Moms Demand Action. Let's see, a lot of churches, synagogue. How about Rabbi Jerry? Would you like to say a few words?
I'll say very few words because I'm fasting today, for a special reason, which I'll say in a moment. But I feel, first of all, assalamu alaikum, my sisters and brothers. I feel, do you say Ibn Bayt in Arabic? Ben Bayit in Hebrew. I feel like I'm home when I come here, and I felt the blessing of the month of Ramadan as soon as I walked in. I am fasting today, but we don't have sahur in the Jewish tradition, so I've been fasting since sundown last night, partly because I have great pain as being part of a community that is in pain in the Middle East. That community includes my brothers and sisters in Israel and my cousins, the Palestinians. And because of that pain, there's a number of rabbis who are fasting once a month and donating what we would have spent to Palestinian relief. I donated today to the ANERA, American Near East Refugee Association. So, I've been here so many times, always with great joy. I should say, for those who don't know, the Interfaith Conference reflects that development that Jim Winkler spoke about. The 11 historic faith communities that make us up go from Baha'i to Zoroastrian. Baha'i is still in alphabetical order first, and the Zoroastrians who are last are in many ways our grandmother and grandfather of all the Western and even with connections to the Sikh community and communities of the Far East. So we go from Baha'i to Zoroastrian. We include Buddhist, Hindu, Jain, Sikh, all flavors of Christianity that we can affiliate to us so far, which includes the Latter-day Saints as well as Protestants and Roman Catholics. So our work is your work. Our home is your home as we feel at home here. We are particularly involved in creating what we call WIROC, the Washington Interfaith Response and Outreach Coalition. It's an opportunity not just for the judicatories, the associations, but individuals and individual houses of worship who want to join to act as neighbors, solidarity neighbors and solidarity congregations, to root out bigotry, to support our neighbors when they are struggling, and when, because we're in this community, thank God, that doesn't happen as often as it does some places for the rest of the world, but we're going to be proactively involved. We do a unity walk down Massachusetts Avenue. We're doing a day of unity, and mostly in the district, happily in Ward 8, which is a distressed area of the District of Columbia in which people have not reached out to as much as they should. So this will be a growing thing. Look for Day of Unity events this June 10th, and as it grows, look for it in the future. I want to make sure there's time for my Sikh and voice brothers and sisters to speak, so that we can also break the fast on time.
Great, thank you so much. I came from the attorney world about 3 years ago, and I moved here and I joined Dar Al-Hijrah. And one of the first rabbis I met was Jerry Serotta, and you were a continuous mentor to me. Thank you so much. I would like to ask at this time Mr. Baldev Singh from the Sikh American Legal Defense and Education Fund.
Thank you, brothers and sisters, and thank you, Naeem, for having us here. Assalamu alaikum. I was a small boy. As some of you don't know, that I was actually born in Malaysia, which was predominantly a Muslim country. So Ramadan and the prayers of Maghrib and Ishaq and dates and rice and sweets, it's all been part of my vocabulary since I was a kid. Even though Malaysia is predominantly Muslim, and Muslim is the official religion of the country, Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, and Sikhism were all part of the tapestry too. And when I was a kid, I had all the different faiths that were my friends, and we would do things all together. So it was like a shock when I was a couple of years old that my friend, Said Hamid, would not eat in the tuck shop during the break. And so all of us made up that maybe he was not well. And then he didn't eat the second day, and then he didn't eat the third day. And that was my introduction to what happens in the month of Ramadan. When a girl who was also in my school, Jennifer, her sister got married, all of us were sitting in the second row of the church, the first row being for the family. On Sundays, all of my friends would come to the Sikh temple for a free meal, because we served free meals in the Sikh temple all over the world. The point I'm trying to make is when I was a kid, and the rest of them who believed in just the humanness of humanity did not know what we were doing. It wasn't called interfaith, it wasn't called, understanding or respecting another's religion. It wasn't talking about being diversified. We used none of those words. Much later, as we got more educated, we started to realize our differences. But when we were kids, we had no differences. During the breaking of fast, during the month of Ramadan, we would go into the home of a Muslim, and we would all squat actually on the floor and eat like Muslims. Muslims, children would come to the home of a Hindu family and eat on a banana leaf. All these kids would go into the temple and eat with their hands. As we grew older, we started to realize the difference. Many times, I wish that I never grew up so that I could still remember the days. And now my prayer is for America, hope that we will return to our childhood and do all of these things as naturally as possible, because after all, we are only humans. Thank you.
Speaking of childhood, our dua, this is a very special time for making supplication. And we have Hassan Abdul Rahman to lead us in dua.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. O Allah, We ask you to quench the thirst of all those who have no water in our country and around the world, and feed all those who are hungry. O Allah, as we ask you as we break our fast, that you bring justice to those who have no voice, and bring light, love, and understanding, and stamp out the ignorance and prejudice. O Allah, we fasted for you, and we believe in you, and we put our trust in you, and we break our fast with your sustenance. Our thirst has gone, and our veins quenched, and the reward is confirmed with your will.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Voices participated in Iftar in Dar Al-Hijrah for 10 years.
There you go.
And it is our honor to be here. If everyone wasn't eating, I would tell you a little more about Voice. But I was very happy to hear my colleague say that the long arc of history bends towards justice, but only if we bend it. Voice believes that. We believe, as Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without a demand, never has, never will. And Voice, for people who do not know what we are, we're a broad-based, multi-faith, multi-racial, multi-economic, absolutely nonpartisan citizens power organization. And anyway, it's good to be here, and thank you again for the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you. And now time for another Robert, Robert Martin from the Anglican Church of Falls Church.
Peace be with you. Thank you so much for your welcome tonight. We have a group of about 15 people from the Falls Church Anglican, and there's some other churches as well. We've started a new organization called the Oasis Network that is trying to build bridges between the Christian community here in the DC area and the Muslim community. We're brand new. We're just doing a little soft launch now, and very excited about the friendships we're building. For some of us, it's our first Iftar in our group tonight. So we have very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And again, we'd like to repeat the thanks. I'm going to have Imam Naeem come close out. This is our typical Iftar. Yes, you were invited here today, but this we do every night. So if you're in the area and you're in the mood for a meal, doors are open. We do this every night until June 14th. That's when we have our Eid celebration at the end of Ramadan. So June 15th, which is a Friday, will be a double celebration for Muslims because it's the Friday prayers as well as the Eid celebration, the end of Ramadan. Thank you again for coming out, Imam Naeem Baig.
Thank you. Thank you, Saif. And as said, Saif mentioned, this Iftar happens every day. You're all welcome. On Tuesday, we typically do a Bring a Friend Iftar. So every Tuesday in Ramadan, we do Bring a Friend. And yesterday we had about 14 or 15 friends from other faiths that they came and they enjoyed this program with us as well. So thank you very much. And Wednesday, June 6th. Yeah, so Wednesday, June 6th, we'll have Iftar for government officials from Fairfax County, police and fire, marshals and all of them. They will be here as well. Again, thank you very much. And I would like to thank Reverend Jim Winkler from National Council of Churches. If you can stand up and people can see you who joined late. Jim Winkler from National Council of Churches. And you saw Reverend Bob and Bob Buckman as well. And Rabbi Jerry Serotta is here. You saw him in the prayer as well, and most of us were also in the prayer hall as well. Andrew was here somewhere. Andrew from another faith organization representing Korean faith community. They are here as well. So thank you very much, and we look forward to strengthening our relationships and our friendships, and in the work of social justice and equality and peace and justice work. We are here with you all the time, and thank you very much for coming here, and safe travels. Enjoy the rest of the evening.